Daniel was a man of routine. His life flowed by like a steady river, each day merging seamlessly into the next. He was a librarian at the town's historic library, a grand building that stood proud in the heart of the community, filled with the scent of aged paper and the whispers of stories long since told. The library was more than just a collection of books. It was a sanctuary, a refuge from the chaos of the outside world. Yet, despite the comforting predictability of his surroundings, Daniel often found his mind restless, haunted by the feeling that something vital was missing from his life. He had dedicated years to the sanctuary, poring over the countless volumes of literature that lined the shelves. Yet, there was an emptiness within him that no amount of reading could fill. Each book he read, each story he encountered, felt like a reminder of the life he had yet to live. He often caught himself gazing out the window, watching the world moving on without him, pondering what it would be like to step outside the confines of his routine and embrace the unpredictability of life. One rainy afternoon, while sorting through a collection of old, forgotten books in the library's dusty basement, Daniel stumbled upon a peculiar object, wrapped in a faded velvet cloth and tucked away inside a wooden chest, lay an hourglass. Its frame was intricately carved with mysterious symbols, and the sand within shimmered with a luminescent glow. The object seemed to pulse with an energy that was both alluring and unsettling, drawing Daniel in with an intensity he could not explain. Intrigued, Daniel carefully unwrapped the hourglass, his fingers brushing against the delicate carvings that depicted scenes from different eras, moments frozen in time that whispered secrets of the past. As he held it up to the dim light, he felt an inexplicable connection to the object, as if it resonated with a part of his soul. It was as though the hourglass held within it the power to unlock memories long buried. He took it upstairs to his reading nook, a cozy little space adorned with soft cushions and the warm glow of a desk lamp, a place where he often found solace in the pages of his favorite books. The hourglass's presence was commanding, and he set it on the desk, its beauty captivating his attention. As he flipped it over, the sand began to flow with grace, and the room around him seemed to blur and shift. Daniel watched, entranced, as the grains of sand cascaded down in a mesmerizing dance. He felt a strange sensation coursing through him, as if the very fabric of reality was bending around him, intertwining his fate with that of the hourglass. As the last grain of sand settled, Daniel found himself standing in a sunlit meadow, the air filled with the scent of wildflowers and the sound of laughter. Confused, but curious, he walked toward the sound, his feet carrying him to a scene from his childhood. There, he saw himself as a young boy, chasing butterflies with his sister Lily. The joy on their faces was infectious, and Daniel felt a warmth spreading through his chest, an emotion he hadn't felt in years. The meadow was alive with colors he had long forgotten, and the sky above was a brilliant blue. He watched as they tumbled to the ground, breathless with laughter, and felt a pang of longing for those simpler times, a bittersweet reminder of the innocence he had lost. Suddenly, the vision faded, and Daniel was back in the library. The hourglass was once again still. His heart raced as he realized the hourglass had allowed him to relive a moment he had long forgotten. He felt exhilarated and terrified at the same time. Could this hourglass truly be a window to his past? The implications were staggering, and he found himself drawn to the object, longing to explore its powers further. What other memories lay hidden within its shimmering sands? Over the following days, Daniel's mind became consumed by the hourglass and the possibility it represented. Each evening, After the library had closed and the world was quiet, he would flip the hourglass and revisit another forgotten memory. He relived the thrill of his first bicycle ride, the bittersweet farewell at his high school graduation, and the quiet pride of his first published article. With each turn of the hourglass, he unearthed a piece of his past, each memory a balm to his restless soul. The laughter of his childhood echoed through his mind, and he felt alive in a way he hadn't in years. But soon, the hourglass became more than just a tool for nostalgia. It morphed into an escape from the monotony of his present life. The past was vibrant and full of life, unlike the gray predictability of his daily existence. Each flip of the hourglass was like a drug, pulling him deeper into a world he could control, a world where he was the hero, the adventurer, the beloved brother. As days turned into weeks, Daniel found himself becoming increasingly withdrawn. His friends and family began to notice his absence, but he brushed off their concerns, convinced that the hourglass was a gift, an opportunity to rewrite the narrative of his life. He imagined the possibilities stretching infinitely before him, a canvas of memories waiting to be painted anew. Yet, as the hours slipped through his fingers like the sand in the hourglass, he began to realize that he was losing touch with reality. The joy of reliving those moments was overshadowed by an encroaching loneliness. The more he retreated into his memories, the more isolated he became, trapped in a cycle of longing for a past that can never be reclaimed. One evening, Daniel found himself standing at a crossroads. He had used the hourglass frequently, each use blurring the line between past and present. As he stood in his dimly lit apartment, he realized he was losing himself to the past. The memories, while comforting, were no substitute for living in the present. The realization hit Daniel like a cold wave, and he resolved to set the hourglass aside. But the temptation was strong. As he pondered his next move, he noticed something troubling. The hourglass's sand level had diminished significantly. He remembered the warning inscribed on its base, written in a language he could barely decipher. Time relived is time lost. The truth of those words sent a shiver down his spine. Daniel understood that each use of the hourglass consumed a portion of his own time, a finite resource he could not replenish. The more he relived the past, the more he risked losing his present. In that moment, he felt a surge of panic. What if he continued down this path? What would become of him? His heart raced as he considered the implications. What if he became so lost in the past that he could no longer return to the present? The thought was suffocating, and with a heavy heart, Daniel resolved to reclaim his life. He placed the hourglass carefully back in its cloth, contemplating the weight of his decision. The allure of the past was strong, but the cost was too high. He understood that the hourglass, while magical, was ultimately a trap, a beautiful but dangerous temptation. Determined to reclaim his life, Daniel decided to venture beyond the walls of the library and the confines of his routine. He began to engage with the world around him, seeking new experiences and reconnecting with old friends. He reached out to Lily, his sister, and they spent afternoons reminiscing about their childhood, this time without the hourglass's magic. They wandered through the same meadows they had played in as children, their laughter echoing in the air, but this time it was different. It was real. Each moment was a new memory being created, a tapestry woven with the threads of their shared experiences. They shared stories, dreams, and aspirations. Daniel felt a warmth in his heart that he had thought long lost. Though the hourglass tempted him with its promise of forgotten memories, Daniel knew that the true magic lay in creating new memories. He poured his energy into the library, organizing events and encouraging the community to explore the stories that surrounded them. He started a book club, inviting people from all walks of life to come together and share their thoughts on the stories that had shaped them. As he shared tales of adventure and romance, Daniel realized that he no longer needed the hourglass to feel connected to his past. The stories he shared and the memories he created with others were more powerful than any forgotten time. The laughter of the book club members, their shared insights, and the friendships that blossomed were the real treasures he sought. With renewed purpose, Daniel began to reach out to individuals in the community who had their own stories to tell. He organized a storytelling night at the library, inviting local residents to share their experiences, their joys, and their struggles. The first event was a modest gathering, but as word spread, more and more people began to attend. The library transformed from a quiet sanctuary into a vibrant hub of creativity and connection, a place where stories flowed freely and friendships blossomed. With the hourglass tucked away, Daniel found a renewed sense of purpose. The restlessness that had haunted him began to fade as he embraced the present and the promise of the future. Each day became an opportunity to explore and experience life anew. He discovered a passion for storytelling, and he began to write his own tales, drawing inspiration from the world around him. His writing took him on adventures he had never imagined. He explored the hidden corners of the town, met fascinating people, and uncovered stories that had long been forgotten. The library was no longer just a place of solitude. It was a vibrant community space where ideas thrived and creativity blossomed. Daniel felt a sense of belonging he had yearned for, a connection to a world that had once felt distant and unattainable. As he stood before a group of eager listeners one evening, sharing tales from the books he loved, Daniel realized that he was no longer a prisoner of his past. He was living fully in the present, crafting a future filled with possibilities. The hourglass, once a symbol of his longing, had become a reminder of the importance of cherishing the moments that unfolded around him. In the end, Daniel learned that life was not about reliving the past, but about embracing the present and creating a future filled with memories yet to be made. The Hourglass of Forgotten Time had taught him the most valuable lesson of all, that every moment, whether remembered or forgotten, was a step in the journey of life. As the sun set on another day, Daniel stood by the library window, watching the world bathed in golden light. He felt a sense of peace wash over him, knowing that the stories of his life were still being written and that he was the author of his own adventure. The hourglass, a mere relic of a past longing, now served as a reminder of the beauty of living in the moment. And so, with a heart full of hope and a mind brimming with stories yet to be told, Daniel stepped away from the window, ready to embrace whatever the future had in store for him. Each day was a new chapter, a blank page waiting to be filled with the ink of his experiences. The world was vast, and Daniel was ready to explore it. With each passing week, the storytelling events at the library grew in popularity. Daniel watched in awe as people from all walks of life came together, sharing tales of love, loss, triumph, and failure. It became a melting pot of experiences, fostering a sense of community that Daniel had never felt before. People began to connect in ways that transcended their differences, building friendships and support networks that were rooted in shared stories. One night, an elderly man named Mr. Thompson shared a heartfelt story about his late wife, weaving a tale filled with humor and love that left the audience in tears. Daniel felt the weight of the moment as the room was filled with a collective sigh, a bond formed through the shared experience of loss and remembrance. After the event, many approached Mr. Thompson, offering their condolences and sharing their own stories of love and loss. Daniel realized that the power of storytelling lay not just in the tales themselves, but in the connections they fostered. Inspired by the impact of these gatherings, Daniel decided to expand the concept. He reached out to local schools and community centers, proposing workshops that would teach storytelling techniques to children and adults alike. He wanted to empower others to share their stories, to cultivate a culture of vulnerability and connection. The workshops quickly gained traction, and soon he was facilitating sessions for groups of eager participants. As the community began to embrace storytelling, Daniel noticed a change in himself as well. He became more confident, more willing to share his own experiences. In one workshop, he stood before a group of children, sharing a story about the time he had faced his fears. The laughter that erupted from their innocent responses filled him with joy, and he realized that vulnerability was a strength, not a weakness. One fateful evening, as Daniel was closing up the library after a particularly successful storytelling night, he noticed a woman sitting on the steps outside. She was lost in thought, her fingers tracing the outline of an old book resting beside her. Curiosity piqued, Daniel approached her. "Is everything all right?" he asked gently. The woman looked up, her deep-set eyes reflecting a mix of sadness and nostalgia. "I'm fine," she replied softly. "Just reminiscing." Daniel could sense that she was holding back, so he took a seat beside her. "I understand. Sometimes a good book can take you back to a different time." She smiled faintly and nodded. "I used to come here all the time as a child. This library was my sanctuary, just like it was for you." The connection was instant, and Daniel felt a spark of familiarity. "I'm Daniel, by the way." "Sarah," she replied, extending her hand. "It's been a long time since I've been back here, but tonight felt right." As they talked, Sarah shared her story, a tale of dreams deferred and the struggle to find her place in the world. She spoke of her love for literature and how it had once fueled her desire to write. But as life's responsibilities had piled on, her passion had been buried beneath the weight of expectations. Daniel listened intently, feeling an urge to encourage her to reconnect with her dreams. "You know, storytelling has a way of healing and bringing people together," he suggested. "We have workshops here. You should consider joining us." Her eyes lit up at the invitation. "I'd love to, but it feels daunting. What if I can't do it?" "Everyone has a story to tell, Sarah," Daniel replied. "You just have to be willing to share it, and trust me, it's worth it." Moved by his words, Sarah agreed to attend the next workshop. As they parted ways that evening, Daniel felt a thrill of excitement. He had not only connected with someone new, but had also ignited a spark of hope in her. In the weeks that followed, Sarah became a regular at the library, attending workshops and sharing her writing with the group. The transformation was remarkable. She blossomed, her confidence growing with every story she shared. Daniel watched with pride as Sarah began to inspire others, her journey serving as a testament to the power of storytelling. One evening, as they were preparing for a storytelling night, Sarah approached Daniel with a glint of enthusiasm in her eyes. "I've been working on something," she said, her voice trembling with excitement. "What is it?" Daniel asked, intrigued. "I've started writing a book," she confessed, her cheeks flushing. "It's about a woman who rediscovers herself through the stories of her past." Daniel's heart swelled with joy. "That's amazing, Sarah. I can't wait to read it." The two spent countless evenings together, sharing ideas and supporting each other's creative endeavors. Daniel found himself invigorated by Sarah's passion, and he too began to write more fervently, drawing inspiration from their shared experiences and the stories they had encountered together. As they collaborated, they formed a deep bond, a friendship rooted in creativity and mutual encouragement. Daniel found himself sharing more of his own stories, and he realized that the library had not only become a refuge for others, but had also transformed into a sanctuary for him. As the summer months rolled in and the storytelling events flourished, Daniel knew that he had come full circle. The hourglass, once a symbol of longing for the past, now sat silently on a shelf in the library, a reminder of the journey he had taken to embrace the present. One evening, as Daniel prepared for a storytelling night, he took a moment to reflect on how far he had come. He had learned to live in the moment, to appreciate the beauty of everyday life, and to connect with others in a profound way. The library had become a vibrant tapestry of shared stories, a place where memories were created anew. As the audience filled the room that night, Daniel took a deep breath and stepped onto the stage. He looked out at the familiar faces, friends, new acquaintances, and even strangers who had been drawn in by the magic of storytelling. He felt a surge of gratitude wash over him. "Welcome, everyone," he began, his voice steady. "Tonight, we gather not just to share stories, but to celebrate the connections we formed and the lives we touched. Each of you has a tale to tell, a moment worth sharing, and it's these stories that weave the fabric of our lives." As the evening unfolded, Daniel felt a sense of fulfillment he had never known before. The laughter, the tears, and the shared moments of vulnerability created an atmosphere of warmth and belonging. And in that moment, he understood that life was not solely about the past or the future. It was about the connections made in the present. After the event, as people mingled and shared their thoughts, Daniel spotted Sarah across the room, her face aglow with excitement as she spoke with a group of attendees. He felt a deep sense of pride for her growth and the impact they had both made on their community. As the night drew to a close, Daniel realized that the hourglass had served its purpose. It had guided him on a journey of self-discovery, teaching him that while the past holds cherished memories, it is the present that shapes who we become. Stepping outside into the cool night air, he took a moment to breathe in the stillness around him. With a heart full of hope and a mind brimming with stories yet to be told, Daniel knew that his adventure was just beginning. Each day was a new chapter, a blank page waiting to be filled with experiences, laughter, and the beauty of life. The world was vast, and he was finally ready to explore it, one story at a time.